Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And with the release of the new EX Unbound units, the new rarity, I figured we'd take a whole video and discuss what does that even mean? Like what differentiates EX Unbounds versus the rest of the EX characters that we've had for the past 19 months or something. Let me do that quick math actually. Hold on. Okay, so going through the spreadsheet of information, I have counted, and this is real because it's got every meta, that we have had 16 of the old 5-star metas and 19 and a half if we want to count antagonist, and technically 20 if you want to count this half of Octagram Demon Lord. So maybe even realistically 20 quote unquote EX, well, no, 19 and a half. 19 and a half EX metas, and then we have one technically one EX Unbound meta, 2.5s. So we've had more EX metas than we've had the normal metas. So even though it seems like EX just happened yesterday, it's actually quite old because it goes back to March of 2023. And we've had more EX metas, which, granted, the beginning EX metas were not nearly as good as what ended, but the fact of the matter is we've had more EXs than not. So it is just logical that we get the new step in rarity to this EX Unbound. But let's discuss exactly what is different between normal EXs and Unbounds. So the first immediate thing to talk about is the difference in stats. So if we go to info, we go to status details, we see that their base character status for HP, attack, and defense are these numbers right here. And then the green is the total of everything else that's being added. So these are their base stats. So this is a 104 Kokuyo, whatever the fuck his name is, Mirror Benimaru. So let's now compare that to another 104 level EX character, which Hinata, sure, works. So if we look at her details, and then I've already taken a picture of Benimaru's, we can see that Benimaru's attack stat at 7554 is higher than the 7378 that Hinata has. And again, this is just his basic stats, not including the equipments and all the bond XP and shit. Her attack stat is 3565 versus his 37, and his defense 2550 versus 2612 is just inherently higher. So they have higher base stats. They're going to do and tank. They're going to do more damage and tank better and live longer, just inherently starting out. The next thing is that they have extra ability boards. So we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and EX like characters now do, but now they have this extra button for attribute Unbound. And this adds 2 more boards to these characters that old EXs do not have. These are not raw stat boards either, not technically, not directly. So if we look at this one, True Attribute Unbound Enhancement increases weak point and super weak point damage in True Attribute Unbound state 2%. And then here it is. This is an alt buff. So, but it's not buffing his damage, it's buffing his support capabilities for his support skill, which is something that we'll also talk about later on in this video. This one, expertise, increases equipment status when equipped with a compatible weapon. This Dark Benimaru wants a Dark Fist, so if we equip him with a Dark Fist, he's going to have a higher attack stat now because we're activating this than another EX character who's using a Dark Fist. And then he's getting extra defense right here when assigned a Valor Cup defense troop by 0.5%, which can make a difference sometimes. So these are all random, well, they seem random, but they are more powerful buffs and they do buff him. And this is the 6th board. This requires the new bigger orange gold crystal that you got for free from logging in. You got 1,500 of those alongside the 100 tickets to summon on his banner with Isis. So that's what these are used for. And then we move on to the 7th board, and this is where dupes come into play. So we're unlocked level 108, 112, 116, 120, and then we have these alt buffs over here, which is again buffing our support, but it needs these orange background, but purple crystals, and then we need the actual orange battle magic clusters, which we're gonna get from somewhere else. But these are additional buffs. So this is an equipment status when equipped with a compatible weapon. This is weak point and true, super weak point and true attribute. This is compatible weapon stuff. So this is more weak point. So they are going to do inherently more damage because of their higher base stats and because they're getting additional buffs from being type advantage and super weak point when they're attacking with like the physical or magic buff when they're underneath their protectors against the specific enemies. So he wants to run on an antagonist, which is extra damage against dark. So when going against a dark character, he's going to get extra damage from doing this. He's going to have higher stats because of his weapon being compatible and doing more damage there. He's going to have higher Valor Cup defense because of these other buffs. So they're going to have a lot of this, and all the EX Unbound characters have this kind of thing going on. So like this Isis, her ability release board looks almost the same. Maybe she's doing a few different things here. Weak point, but now she's doing it against, she's a space element, so her icon looks a little bit different. But these are all lit up. They're still getting Valor Cup defense. They're still getting equipment status when equipped with a compatible weapon. So they are all doing this. The protectors are also getting this Unbound board up here, but they do slightly different things because they're not about damage, they're about support. So this right here buffs his extra damage buff you get for being on the team. So Octagram Demon Lord characters do extra damage to light. Well, the old EX protectors used to do 60% maximum, and now at level 100, base level, just pulling guy, he does 100%. So we're doing 40% extra, and if you dupe him up all the way, he's going to do up to 120% when you add all these other nodes together. So he's going to double the passive damage that your team would do. And then this is increases output when appointed to a suited facility, 10 up. This is when you're putting him into like the magic buildings to get extra output. So that's why they raised those caps on those buildings, is because they knew that we were going to get more protectors who give more output the more dupes you have. And then the seventh board gives more suited facility, gives more buff to the passive damage. So that's what the new EX attribute Unbound boards are doing for the new characters. Big thing to note is that you need one dupe of them to actually dupe them up. But now, if you wanted to use EX shards, it takes 10 shards, not the 5 that the old EX characters need. So if I wanted to level up this Rain and awaken her to 120, I would need 5 shards. But as you saw, the Benimaru, the Milim, they take double that amount. So they're still using the old currency, it's just twice as much, which I'm not a super big fan of. I wish they had their own shards and it was still 5 or something, and we would just keep it individualized, because it's not like these characters use the old 5-star shards, right? So why should the Unbound characters use them as well? I don't know. But that is kind of an unfortunate thing. Next, we have the difference in the alts. So previously, everybody did damage, and everybody had some kind of alt effect, whether it was good or not. Magic resistance down, defense up, attack up, crit damage up, something along the lines of that. Now they've really split them out into who is a dedicated support alt and who is a dedicated damage alt. And this Kuyo, so he does an AoE for 150%. That's really, really low, because Momiji is doing like 600% on her ult, so we're doing nothing close to that. However, it's a support ult. It's not meant to do damage, because he increases the weakness strike of antagonist characters, including the rear guard, until the end of battle by 25%, and that is unlimited. So when you ult with him, you are giving everybody on your team who is an antagonist character an extra permanent 25% weakness strike. And if you do an EX ult, you double this effect, so it goes up to 50%. And this is held back by dupe levels. So you can at level 15 of 15, when you have full dupes for him, it would be 60%, and then with the EX alt, it would be 120%. But that requires you to fill out his EX board and fill these out and get these extra rocks. You can see it's going up right here, but I don't have access to those because he literally came out a couple hours ago. But it's a passive, well, it's an active support buff that is not taken up by a battle skill. And you see he's giving weakness strike right here, but since this is a permanent buff, it will work on top of this. So if you do this and you do an EX alt, so that's 50 plus 80, so that's 130% weakness strike for the entire team. And it hits the back line, so you could ult with him up front, and Shinsha in the back, or Violet in the back, is still going to benefit off this. And the same thing with Isis. She's a single target ult, but she's only doing 250%, which is still really low compared to single target nuking characters. But she still has the same effect. Increases weakness strike of antagonist force characters, including rearguard, till the end of battle by 25%. The same cost, and it's still held back by your dupe levels and that EX board. But it's the same buff. And because they're both permanent buffs, they do stack together. So if you do an EX alt with Isis and Dark Benimaru, that's 50% plus 50%. So that's 100%. And then you add in Benimaru's actual skill with 80, so that's 180% weakness strike right there. So these are dedicated support alts because they are buffing the entire team in some way, shape, or form. Now, currently, these are the only Unbound characters, so, I mean, we might see more than just Weakness Strike. I really hope it does, because Weakness Strike is not the best buff, but they are supporting the other team. And on the opposite end, Milim, she is a damage character. She's an attack alt. So she does 540% normal damage, and then 1.5 times. This is pretty standard, but if we look at it, at full dupe level, she goes up to 600%, which is 90% higher than what other EX characters are doing. So yeah, like 600% right there, even 540% right here. If we look at my 120 Overlord Shizu, she's doing 510. She's maxed out. So she's doing less overall damage than this Milim who has 3 dupes in her. Because if I get 2 more dupes this Milim and I get her entire board done, she's going to do 600%. 90% more than what Shizu's doing. And then if we get an EX alt, it's a 1.5 times, so which means she's doing 900% alt damage at max. Right now, I don't know the math what she's doing because math is hard and I haven't slept in 24 hours. But you can do the math for me. The thing is, she's going to do a lot of damage, but she has no extra skill. Like, she's not buffing the team even by a little bit. She is just raw damage. So that's how they're differentiating between the attack and support. And that's why this new filter option came in for attack, which is only Milim, versus support, which is only these 2 characters. All right, the last thing we have to talk about as far as their kits go before showing it all in practice is the new True Attribute Unbound feature. So this activates depending on what type of unit they are. So because this guy is a speed-focused character, that means he's meant to do damage within a early set of turns. So within turns 3, 4, and 5, he gets extra weak point and super weak point damage. And this is the extra additional modifier on top of what type advantage and super weak point would normally do. So it's an extra 1.16, 1.26. And this is also, again, increased from the new ability release boards. And the more dupes you get, the higher it goes. But this is conditional. So for the first turn and the second turn, this does not activate. And then anything after turn 5, so turn 6, 7, 8, it also does not activate. So you have to be within that sweet spot of what they require. So speed characters, turns 3 through 5, that's universal. So if we look at Milim, she's also a speed character. And so she's also going to have, where's it? True Attribute right here, 3 through 5. But 1.18, 1.28% damage, still within turns 3 through 5. If we had a stacking character, a charge character, as they call it, like if we had Shizu has charge right here, and then I'm sure that who's a defense character? Where's Raphael? Raphael, defense character. Their sweet spots are going to be turns 6, 7, and 8. So much further along in the fight when you're meant to nuke on turn 8, like in most stacking teams. And most burst teams are meant to nuke on turn 5. So they're going to get extra damage in that turn area right there. Okay, now that we've discussed everything at length on paper, it's time to now show what is happening. So we are on turn 2 right here, and these are all speed teams. We've got all 3 of the new units. We've got Isis, Dark Benny, and Milim. So once we hit turn 3, 4, and 5, you'll see that these logos are going to change. So let's bring in everybody so it's actually visible, and we'll just send these random orbs. So 1, 2, 3, sure. They'll hit us, and now, so debuff, rear guard effect applied, and now, true attribute unbound, now our logos are shining. So because we are within that sweet spot for the turns, turn 3, 4, 5, this is activated. So we're going to get extra true attribute unbound state, weak point 1.6, super weak point 1.26. And that should be roughly the same amount. Milim has more because she has more dupes. She's level 112 instead of 104 like the other two. But they're going to just do more damage overall. So whatever orbs we sent last turn are now going to do more damage this turn. And let's go ahead and put some skills on. So let's do the vitalization right here. And then we can show off the differences of what the orbs look like. So you can come out. We'll do a Mills here, and we can skip this. So, Shinsha is a normal EX character. She doesn't get the whole extra thing, and you can see that the damage logos actually change while we're in this. Dark Benny had a purple damage icon, and now, once the vitalization kicks in, and we can see the difference of alts, eventually, there we go. So, Shinsha with her EX alt is the standard extra special purple, but the support alt from Mirror Benimaru is green and blue, and it's got these little stars like you're being healed or something, or you're poisoned, one of the two. And then Milim has the little orange and purple icon, and it's got these swords popping up because she is an attack nuker, and this guy is a support nuker. So there are visual differences between the two brand new alts. And I think this is very nice. It really helps you see and visualize like what is helping, what is not. So if we were to send this Benimaru alt, actually let's just send it. That way we can see. So this isn't going to do a lot of damage. He's not really buffed, but you can see the purple icons because he's in his true attribute form. If he were not in there, we wouldn't get those purple icons. And the same would be for Isis, except they would be blue because they match the element. But because we used Benimaru's alt, if we now look at Shinsha, she is an antagonist character, and now she has 25% weakness strike. And that is coming from the alt effect for Dark Benimaru. Because remember, if we alt, we give antagonist allies 25% permanent weakness strike. So the idea is to send many alts or EX alts of these characters who are going to support so you can help the nuking characters do more and more damage. And we're still within turn 5. So let's go ahead and bring Isis in for Shinsha. And we can see that if we use a Mills again, I think we have to skip him again because I have this on. Yeah. We can actually then now see the difference in icons when we do damage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So Benimaru does purple, but Isis does blue, light blue, because she's a space character. But we're within that sweet spot of bonus damage. So it's going to match the element. And then this buff from Benimaru is another 25% weakness strike because it applies when you ult. And so now Milim is not going to get it. Why? Well, because she's not antagonist. So she's not benefiting from this. So it is still very team-specific, but if you build a team with a proper nuker, like Shinsha would have gotten it. She's getting she's now gotten, 50% weakness strike buff from Benimaru. That's how it's meant to be. So you have specific turns where you do extra damage, and you have specific ult effects that buff certain things when you ult. And that's pretty much it. So higher stats, more ability boards, extra gear stats and all that, extra damage or extra support buffs on their ult, and their sweet spot weak point damage. And that's the difference between normal EXs and new EX Unbounds. Hopefully that makes sense. This is a brand new thing. I could have gotten a few things wrong here. I don't know. They've literally been out for like 4 hours. So I've been trying to really test them and dig deep into what they're actually doing so I could make this video for you. But if you've noticed anything else that's different, please put it in the comments below so we can figure it out together. But this should give you a pretty good explanation of what makes them so different. So that's it from me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.